there was an article about girls and guys on Tinder that are handicapped, but don't put their handicap on there. Like a girl is in a wheelchair and she doesn't, she knows people just won't swipe her way if she shows the wheelchair. So it's just her face and she's pretty and everything. Like, would you be upset if she kind of rolls up to the door? Is that misrepresenting?
Yeah,
or?
so I don't have that exact experience, but I did have an experience once where I was going to be introduced with someone in a business relationship, and it was kind of an important meeting. I needed to be friends with this guy, and it was important that he recognized that I was a stand-up guy, and so that we could move on and do business together. No one told me that instead of a right hand, this man had a flipper. And look,
God, yeah.
I have no problem with this man and his flipper hand. He did so many things wonderfully with his flipper hand. He could shoot, he could drive, he could do everything you needed to do. He probably masturbated it with it in some interesting way. I don't know. It probably came in handy.
Flipper fucking on the next PKA.
Yeah. Nope. I felt like what he had would be an excellent G-spot stimulator. I didn't envy the guy, but on the other hand, I could see some pluses to his flipper appendage. But nobody told me or warned me, so I'm introduced to this fellow, and it's like, hey, and I shook his flipper, and I didn't flinch a bit. But in my head, I was thinking, like, what if I wasn't as cool, calm, and collected as I'm being right now, shaking this man's flipper? What if I was like, flipper!
Oh, wow, yeah.
Sequin! Daddy to me! Like, what if I lost my shit or something? I feel like, it just out of common courtesy, it'd be nice to know that sort of thing. Like, just...
Or that you didn't slip up, where he's like, how you doing today, Kyle? And you're like, Finn, fine, I'm doing fine.
I think if a girl wheels up in a wheelchair, though, like, if you're going out on your first date, you'd kind of be, I would absolutely go out and see if she was cool and everything like that. I think if you don't, you really are just looking to fuck that night.
Yeah, if she's paralyzed from the waist down, or is there something else that's keeping her? I'd like her to have.
What else would be in there? Either paralyzed, a broken bone, or she's just bad at walking. She's just
it could be that. And what I'm getting at is
lazy.
What I'm getting at is this vagina work. Like, can she feel pleasure down there? Because I know some guys, when they're paralyzed in the waist down, their dick doesn't work anymore. So, like, I want a woman who's fully functional. I wouldn't have a problem with the wheelchair. I'd like to know it up front, and I would feel like, it.
You could always just start by initiating, like, on our date, we're going to go on a short hike, or we're going to go say something physical, so then it would have to be brought up.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
You wouldn't happen to be a paraplegic, would you? No?
Where'd you like to go? I'm like, well, first we're going to stop by the clinic. I like to do that first,
I would like to. I like when you brought up the fact that you want to know if she's paralyzed nerve-wise or muscle-wise, so if she could feel it. But think about this. If she can't feel anything, you don't have to work at all. You're just down there like this, like, oh, yeah, I'm going down on you. Oh, you're so, because she doesn't know.
Playing Angry Birds. Or you could just be really like crazy down there and do all kinds of weird shit because she can't feel it anyway. You can just
experiment.
You could do
like a
just
crash
turn
test dump.
one of those opportunities into suddenly now it's a great day at Six Flags. Front of the line, over and over and over. Put that in your Tinder requirement. I prefer women with non-working legs because I like theme parks.
Wow, that's pretty nice. Pussy and
all the good
flags.
Yeah, platonic Tinder for people who want to skip in line. That's perfect.
They make that. That's a thing. That's a thing. I've read about that or heard about that. I swear to God, that is a thing where you can hire a handicapped person to come to the theme park with you to get to the front of the lines. That is absolutely a thing.
Do you get to pick out of a lineup?
I don't know anything about that. I didn't look into it. It was during the time when I was researching my Tilk business and trying to get all that rich titty milk.
Yeah. Well, what if you get like Grumpy Gary and like he's at the front of the line with you? Just, I have written this so many times, I don't even want to. I must. It's the only work I have.
I would. And you know what I was thinking? Like, I was thinking maybe for a little extra income during the summers, maybe I would pretend like I was handicapped and have people pay me to get them to the front of the line. So that way, I get paid to be there, front of the line, and I get paid to do the whole thing.
Ooh, stairs the limit. Yeah, that's.
And Kitty's got an extra wheelchair. I can hop right in that thing. I'm pretty good at it.
If you get caught with a wheelchair when you don't need a wheelchair, I get mad at the people that like around Disney. They're at Disney on the Little Rascals and whatnot, and they're just doing it because they're fat. It's like, walk around Epcot, you pig, and you kind of get mad at them.
Would you rather
especially,
get
I don't think
caught?
how they call it a rascal. Like, because a rascal's someone who's running around doing little mischievous things. You know, oh, you never know where she's going to be on her rascal. You know, at least within 30 feet of the closest fried dough stand. But other than that, masquerading around, you know, that rascal.
Would you rather get caught masquerading as a handicapped person in a wheelchair and using those benefits, or would you rather be caught? Would you think it's worse, rather, to be caught as someone who's stealing valor, pretending to be a veteran of
Stealing
a foreign
valor
war,
is worse
wearing
to me.
medals? Which would you rather?
Yeah.
That's rough, right? Like, whenever I see those guys, I was we were dealing with I won't say which one, but we were dealing with a firearms related company, and one of the things at that company is that everybody there is a veteran. And it turned out that one of the guys wasn't after a long period of working there, and there was a big falling out. And they fired his ass, and there was a whole thing. Yeah. And then I often see there's a YouTube channel, and his whole thing is exposing these guys who are out there pretending to be fake Navy SEALs, fake whatever, and telling big tall tales about, you know, killing people and being a commando across the world and all this. You know,
I have no business saying who is and isn't a SEAL.
Yeah. and this guy will show up at your like place of business or wherever you spread your bullshit and lies with like proof. He's got the BUDS class that you supposedly went to. He's got the registration for it. In one case, the guy I was in BUDS class of '93. I'm just making this up. And he looks over at his friend, the guy whose job is to expose these people. He goes, "You were in Bud's class in '93, weren't you, Jeff?" And Jeff's like, "Mm-hmm." Like, "You remember this motherfucker?" Jeff's like, "Uh-uh."
Oh no!
And they just shame these people, and it's really good. It's the videos are a bit too long.
I think it's only worse, like in the original question of valor versus pretending to be handicapped. It's on a gradient though.
What if
you just say, like, oh, yeah, I'm a soldier, or I was in the army for a year or something. I don't think that's as bad as rolling around being handicapped. But if you're, like, making up stories of, like, yeah, and then I stormed the field, and I was actually a special agent, you know, I was in the Marines, or I was this and that, that's definitely worse.
Yeah.
I was a frogman in Vietnam.
Yeah, okay, Jesse.
Yeah, he's a maniac.
We've all pulled into the handicap spot at some point or another. You never use the handicap.
I got placard.
Not unless I was handy. When my wife was pregnant, we used the pregnant woman spot at the grocery store. But no, yeah.
I've never even seen one here.
Oh,
expected mothers parking.
There's expected mothers and recent mothers parking in the grocery stores sometimes.
That'd be funny having one of those at Planned Parenthood.
Oh, Jesus.
Expect the entire thing, expected mothers.
God.
Well, no parking here for us, son.
No, I never park. Even when like the parking lot's empty. Like I'll go to Cisco on a weekend and there's like 600 open spots and the first 75 are handicapped. I still park past all the handicaps.
Yeah,
I do. A good guy.
I've got the handicap placard, so when I got Kitty in the car, I'll park in them and everything. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't want to get my shit towed. I don't want to pay some fine or something like that.
They need to seriously reduce the amount of handicap parking spaces out there as a whole because
I
it's
think they need to add more. I think they need to add obese parking spots. I think
that's the last thing they need.
No, you're wrong about this because they put them at the very end of the fucking parking lot.
Oh, there you go.
They're out by the highway, motherfucker. You're going for a hike before you get into McDonald's.
No, they're draining their rascal battery, and then they're just going to be sitting there plugged in at the front of the Walmart waiting.
They have one of those like airport like treadmills, but they go backwards, so they have to run to get to the thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things we could do like that and sort of socially engineer our society. I think, the idea of putting them way out there and making them really hike on in.
You
to get
step on an elevator or an escalator and you're past a certain weight that it can tell that you're not immobile and that you should be able to walk, it just stops. And everybody else on the escalator turns around and goes, oh, look at that marginally fat fuck. He can walk up the stairs if he wants to, and then he has to get off in shame and shuffle up the stairs.
I love the shaming society.
It's one of my